What's up everybody, Shadow Ninja here, and welcome back to another RageQuit review. As you guys can already tell by the title and what's playing on screen right now, we are reviewing Spider-Man Far From Home. I know in the past we did a lot of these Marvel reviews based on their movies, such as Captain Marvel, Infinity War, Endgame, hell, even Black Panther. We did a lot of these, guys. So that just segues right into what I'm about to tell you guys. This is going to be a very heavily spoiled video. I'm going to go over everything in the plot, the main plot, the subplots, the action scenes, the cool shit, the bad shit, basically everything in this movie. It was just, everything was happening, and I can't really figure out a way to do a spoil-free video. And considering that the movie has been out for a couple days, I think it's more than appropriate to bunker down and talk about all the spoiler stuff in this movie, because a lot of stuff did happen, and I liked most of it. If you guys really do not want to know any spoilers and you're planning on seeing it in the near future, I suggest you click off the video and go see another RageQuit video. There's a bunch of them out there for you guys. But for those of you that really don't care about the spoilers, or those of you who have already watched the video or watched the movie and want to know about what I think, stick around and I'll tell you exactly what happens in a couple minutes. So, as you guys can already picture, Spider-Man Far From Home takes place immediately after Avengers Endgame, and the loss of Captain America, Iron Man, Black Widow, as well as others, is very still fresh to all the young minds of Peter Parker's school, and it seems that the blip, or the snap, as some people call it, I mean, the term is very misconstrued, as not a whole lot of people know about what happened, even, and it's referred to as the blip, the action of everybody coming back as a result of Hulk putting on Tony Stark's Infinity Glove and snapping his fingers and bringing everybody back. And we find out that in Avengers Endgame, it's not that all of the people who were snapped away got put into the Time Stone, or I mean the Soul Stone, or they were put in a different multiverse or something and put in a different universe. No, they just kind of faded away, and when they come back, it just feels like they maybe fainted or fell asleep for a couple hours, but no, it was actually 5 years in the making. And the movie actually goes into great detail about what happens to the kids that were that stayed in high school and the kids that just got blipped back. And yeah, the kids that stayed actually aged 5 years, and the kids that got blipped back had to do their high school all over again, and it sucked for them. But anyways, the movie does a good job of releasing or filling up that plot hole that happened in Endgame, where everybody was like, wait, does that mean some of Peter's friends are graduated? But no, it seems that all of Peter's friends, including Ned, Flash, he's not really a friend, and of course MJ, were conveniently snapped so that when they come back, they're all the same age as they were when they left off. But the story just follows immediately, and it's very apparent that Peter is going through some trauma with the loss of Iron Man. You see a scene where he is actually being interviewed, or Aunt May is actually commemorating him and saying that, you know, Spider-Man helped save our world, and people are asking him questions. News reporters are asking him questions. Is he going to be the new Iron Man? And you can see that Peter just gets instantly very flustered. He just kind of runs away. He goes, sorry, I gotta go. And he kind of just reflects, and everywhere he goes, he even says in the movie, Peter says that everywhere he goes, he can see Iron Man's face and Iron Man's shadow cast over him. He's not ready for Tony Stark to die yet, but it seems that, you know what, he's just going to try to get his mind off of everything. He's grown a romantic interest in MJ, and they're going to Europe soon as a school trip, so Peter takes this opportunity to kind of hang the Spider-Man costume up for a second and just relax. And he has this plan where he's actually going to do a series of things to win over MJ, and then he's going to ask her out, or he's going to tell her how he feels. It's just normal teenage bullshit, but behind the scenes, we find out that there are these elementals that are coming out of nowhere, just seemingly popping up out of nowhere, and the only one who can defeat them is, ironically, a man named Mysterio, who was said to be a man from another timeline or another multiverse of Earth, considering that the quote-unquote snap tore a loophole through the universe, and all these elementals kind of seeped through. They destroyed the Earth that Mysterio came from, and now Mysterio is back to not only avenge his family and avenge his home, but also to save the Earth. And when Spider-Man gets to Europe, when Peter Parker gets to Europe, of course Aunt May packs his suit for him just in case he needs it. But the school trip is going over very well so far, until Nick Fury kind of shows up and tells Spider-Man, hey, Spider-Man, you've been dodging my phone calls and you've been ignoring me basically this entire time. we need you to help fight these elementals. And when Mysterio and Spider-Man finally meet, it feels very good. These guys have good chemistry when they're together, and it feels like it could, the movie was like, oh wow, Mysterio's a good guy, like that's odd because Mysterio was always a bad guy. He was always pretending to be a good guy, but then comes out as a bad guy. But no, he's like an actual superhero now, and he flies around, he shoots magic out of his hands, and he's actually very good with Spider-Man, and he understands, and it seems to be that Spider-Man could have another father figure in Mysterio, considering he knows how it feels to be a superhero. He knows that Spider-Man doesn't want these responsibilities. He just wants to go on vacation, have fun with his friends, and ask MJ out. Which, I mean, what teenager doesn't want to do that? They just want to live their lives and have fun. But, of course, Peter Parker is stuck being a superhero. He is an Avenger, and he needs to have these responsibilities. Over the course, Spider-Man first fights Hydro Man, or Hydro as some people are calling him. Yeah, Hydro is kind of a pushover in the first time. Mysterio comes in, swoops in, kicks Hydro's ass, and that's when Nick Fury kind of enlists Spider-Man onto this team with Mysterio, and then Mysterio and Spider-Man need to figure out a way to fight this molten monster that comes from the Earth's core, and if he infuses himself with metal, he grows taller and taller, and basically that was the monster that Mysterio's Earth was destroyed by, because since there was so much metal on the Earth, the monster just grew bigger and consumed the Earth. And it was a pretty cool fight with the molten monster. Spider-Man got a new suit, a stealth suit that was very reminiscent of the Noir suit in Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions. And it was really cool to see him jump around and stuff. And the whole reason why they wanted Spider-Man to have a different suit for this is because they didn't want Spider-Man to be known in Europe. They didn't want to know that Spider-Man was here, the public, I mean. So they gave him a new suit, and they even had a little cool name from. Of course, Ned and some other girl got together during the trip, and they were, of course, on this Ferris wheel or something when they weren't supposed to be, and they were caught in the crossfire between Spider-Man, the Molten Monster, I think his name was Molten Man or Magma Man or something like that, and Mysterio. And of course, Ned just in a panic goes, oh, hey, look, it's Night Monkey, and they call him Night Monkey. But hey, it was a pretty cool fight. While it lasted, all the fights with Mysterio and Spider-Man, they were really cool. In the Molten Monster, it felt like Spider-Man wasn't doing much. And of course, Mysterio defeats the monster and is praised by Nick Fury. And Nick Fury is like, Spider-Man, what was Tony Stark right in choosing you? And of course, we find out that Spider-Man has these glasses that were made not made by Tony Stark, but they were given to Peter by Tony Stark, and basically to kind of pass the torch and give the mantle of the new Iron Man over to Peter. And the glasses are named Edith, which stands for Even Dead, I Am the Hero, made by Tony Stark himself, of course. And these glasses have unlimited abilities and unlimited access to Tony Stark's complete arsenal. He can call drones from a satellite. I don't know, maybe he could even create new Iron Man suits, create new suits for himself. He basically has Tony Stark's AI that he worked with when he was alive in the hands of Peter. And we also know that, Spider-Man gets a little discouraged in himself, and he thinks that Mysterio is a way better hero than he is. So he gives over the glasses to Mysterio and says, here, I want you to have these glasses because I don't think I'm ready. I think what Tony Stark really meant when he said that he was trusting me to have these glasses, he said, maybe he was trusting me to give them to the right person. He goes, because I'm just a kid, I don't really know what I'm doing, and everything that I've done so far is thanks to Tony Stark, so what's the point of me even having these glasses and becoming what he wants me to be when I can't even be that right now? So he gives the glasses to Mysterio, and we find out that Mysterio was actually bullshitting Spider-Man throughout the whole movie. Alright, okay, so the monsters, the backstory, the multiverse, the powers, they're all bullshit, okay? Mysterio, of course, we know is a bad guy. We know that he is an illusionist, he's a trickster, he's a bullshitter. So we find out that Mysterio has been using this illusion tech to basically make holograms of himself fighting these monsters, and really, he's somewhere off in the distance in a mocap suit, basically, he has this team of ex-Tony Stark or ex-Stark Industries employees that are pissed off at Tony Stark and they want to get back at him, and their only way of getting back at him is to get these Edith glasses and fuck shit up. So that's exactly what they do. They trick Spider-Man into giving Mysterio the glasses, and now Mysterio has entire access of all Tony Stark shit, and he uses these drones to actually create damage within the city. So the drones not only make the illusion and make the hologram, but they also cause damage with the weapons that Tony Stark put on them. And I thought that was a really cool thing. It went through a whole monologue of what Mysterio's motives were, and I was really confused. They actually brought back a character from Iron Man 1, the dude that was getting screamed at by Warmonger, and it was really cool to have that character even from the first movie. And we find out that the reason why Mysterio is so pissed off at Tony Stark and wants to get back at him is because he originally made the Edith glasses. He made the technology, the holographic technology, and Iron Man basically made a joke out of it. He called it barf or something like that. And when Mysterio was pissed off and he went to Tony, he was like, "How could you do that? You made a mockery of my life's work." Tony basically said this dude's unstable, and he fired him and basically shat on his entire legacy. And this movie makes Tony Stark out to be a dick sometimes, and I'm not really too opposed to that at all, because if you saw from Civil War, from beginning of Iron Man's lineage to Civil War, he was kind of a dick, and that's exactly what he was made out to be. And now all of his past dickeries are coming back to bite him in the ass, or back to bite Peter in the ass, basically. And yeah, we find out that Edith is now in the hands of Mysterio. Eventually, Spider-Man finds out, and of course, MJ finds out that Peter is Spider-Man in a pretty obvious scene. We saw it in the trailer. So yeah, MJ basically finds out that Peter is Spider-Man because apparently with the fight between Spider-Man, Mysterio, and the Molten Man, a drone basically fell off. Spider-Man accidentally hit a drone with his web shooter, and it rolled near MJ, and she picked up. She examined it, and she said, "There's no way that the Night Monkey would have the same webs as Spider-Man." And conveniently, Peter was off doing his own thing, and he went missing during the whole thing. And when she went to examine it, I guess she dropped it or something, and the hologram appeared of Mysterio fighting a smoke monster, which basically is how Peter and MJ find out that Mysterio is just fucking around and lying to Peter. So, of course, MJ knows, and her, Ned, and Peter try to figure out a way to take down Mysterio together, as they are all knowledgeable of who Spider-Man is and nobody else is. So Spider-Man does the right thing. He decides that he wants to go and talk to Nick Fury, basically say that he gave up Edith, and not only that, he made a major mistake, and he trusted Mysterio and gives the hologram to Mysterio. It gives the hologram to Nick Fury, and Nick Fury knows now, oh my god, wait, bam, all of a sudden, it's a hologram. Let's take it back for a second. We find out that Mysterio knew all along because he has cameras on the drones, and all of a sudden, now he needs to find out a way to work around Peter and make him become entrapped in this illusion, considering that Mysterio has all these holograms and he can make anything out to be what it isn't, and he can basically just put Peter in these hallucinations. And it's like fear toxin from Batman, only it's just holograms and it's not real, but as long as the eye sees it, Peter can believe it, basically. So that's exactly what happens. The whole thing was a setup. It was just so the Mysterio could trap Peter and basically try to kill him. And he puts him in this gorgeous hallucination scene where he can see a dead zombie Iron Man. He's getting entrapped. He's fighting himself. Mysterio's coming out of nowhere and punching the shit out of him in his full costume. He's getting trapped in a snow globe, and the snow globe is revealed to be Mysterio's head. And it is the most beautiful part of the movie. It is so good. It looks like it was ripped straight from the comics. And I just don't know what else to say. It was really cool, and it fucked with Peter's head. And of course, at the end, Peter gets ran over by a train. And you would think, how come this dude isn't dead? I mean, but let's put our suspension of disbelief aside. The dude's a superhero, I guess, and I guess he's train-proof or something like that. And it takes a little while for him to recover, but then he meets up with Happy, who was in the beginning of the movie. He's basically his moral support. He's dating Aunt May and stuff. And he picks him up and decides that what he's going to do is he's going to make his own suit because his stealth suit is kind of beaten up and ripped to shit. And he gets a little motivational speech from Happy that says, Tony did not make a mistake. Tony picked Peter for the right reason because there's a lot of Tony in Peter. There's just that untapped potential that he has that is yet to be discovered. And it's been alluded to this whole entire time that Spider-Man has a sixth sense. He has spider sense, but everybody calls it a Peter tingle. It's fucking stupid. It was funny the first time around, but now it's just become this like running joke. And Spider-Man doesn't believe in himself, which he has that untapped potential. He could be a really good and level-headed hero if he just taps into the Spidey sense and he gets his shit going. But of course, that has been something in the comics. Spider-Man lost his powers, lost his Spidey sense because he just couldn't believe in himself, and he had so much conflict within him. And that is kind of, what kind of tapped Peter into his motivation is Happy telling him, Tony didn't make a mistake, and it is time for you to take up the mantle. You're not going to be Iron Man. You're never going to be as good as he is, but you can be the best you that you can be. So Spider-Man makes his own suit, and Mysterio is coming up with this drastic plan to make the biggest monster, the biggest illusion ever, that makes him look like the greatest superhero ever, something that the Avengers couldn't even beat. So it's a mixture of all these different monsters, and of course Happy sends a video of himself a FaceTime in cryptic speech, kind of like where they're trying to hint at each other. He's doing it to the real Nick Fury because Nick Fury doesn't actually know what's going on. What happened before was just an illusion. And Spider-Man's responsibility now is to dive in and just mess up all the drones. And so he goes into the illusion. He drops off from the sky from the helicarrier in his new red and black suit, and it's really cool how he makes it. There's a lot of nods. He's in the shuttle of Happy Shuttle, and he's making the suit, and there's an actual callback where he puts his hand in like a glove. It was very similar to what Iron Man did when he was making his own suit, and it was really cool. They were playing AC/DC in the background, similar to when they did Iron Man 1. It was just a really cool callback. It feels like a new generation. And sometimes, some people could argue that it doesn't really feel like a Spider-Man movie, that this movie is very shadowed over by Iron Man, but that's basically how they set it up in Homecoming. Spider-Man just wants to be as good as Tony Stark is, and when Tony Stark dies, now he has the opportunity to pick himself up and take the mantle as the next Iron Man, the next ingenious hero that can make his own technology and make his own suits now. I think the red and black suit was pretty cool. It doesn't really do anything else other than what we've already seen. He has the wings, he has the taser webs, he has everything. It's just a new shade, and it's just, hey, it's the first suit that he's made by himself, so I guess that's a start. So yeah, Peter decides that he's going to jump inside the hologram, and he finds all the drones just, making this picture, and they're all projecting. So he takes his taser webs, and he goes across all of them in a web, and he shocks them all at once and dissipates the hologram. That's pretty cool. But now all of a sudden the drones are attacking, and now all the civilians and all the citizens, and Nick Fury now knows that this is all bullshit, and now Mysterio is actually attacking the city with drones. And you can see that some of the Royal Guards are fighting back. It's pretty cool. The drones are chasing civilians around. They're chasing MJ, Ned, and the one girl he was dating, and Happy and Flash into a room where there's all these medieval weapons, and they're trying to deal with their own struggles of fighting these drones. And eventually Spider-Man defeats some of the drones and gets his spider sense back as he has a face-off with Mysterio in his mocap suit. And all of a sudden, all the drones are coming in, and they're making like a projection, and they're swarming Peter, and all of a sudden, he kind of focuses in, and he goes, okay, time to do this. So he has his spider sense back, and he uses his sense to destroy all the drones despite what he's seeing. It's a really awesome action sequence where he's just destroying all the drones. He runs out of webs, so that's one thing. He runs out of webs during the scene, so he's just using his brute strength, and he's destroying everything. Oh my god. And during his fight previously with all the drones, he's flying around and fighting all the drones and stuff. He runs out of webs, and all of a sudden he picks up a camera that has like a little swingy thing on it, a little strap, and he picks up a car door, and he does the Captain America thing where he has the shield and the hammer at the same time, and he goes. It was so fucking cool to see that in the drone fight where he's swinging around and destroying all the drones because they caught on to him. It looked absolutely insane. Like something as simple as fighting drones just became one of my favorite fights. You just see him swinging around doing his thing, and now all of a sudden he's in the corridor, and Mysterio's surrounded by these drones, and they're encasing him, and he opens his eyes real wide, and he goes, okay, it's time to do this. He focuses in, and he harnesses all of his power, and he destroys the drone. Finally, he catches up to Mysterio, and since Mysterio is still kind of under, Peter's still under Mysterio's leash a little bit, he tries to kill him. And Spider-Man uses his sixth sense and his Spidey sense to get around that too. He tries to, and Mysterio actually tries to shoot him, but Peter gets around that, and he, like when he was fighting one of the drones, one of the bullets ricocheted and hit Mysterio and winds up killing him, and basically battle's over. That's it. And it happened, it was a really drawn out fight, but it felt short at the same time. Like all the, like in real time, could have taken like maybe 5 minutes. You see him like swinging around and doing all this crazy shit, but in the movie it took a little bit longer, and it was just a hectic fight. And then finally Peter and MJ, they meet up and they say how they feel towards each other, and Peter bought this little medallion thing for her in the beginning of the movie, wanted her to have it because, he cares about her and stuff like that, and it winds up being broken or something like that. And she's like, oh, that's okay and stuff. And, they're boyfriend and girlfriend now, I guess. And towards the very end of the movie, Spider-Man's kind of feeling good about himself. He got his spider sense and stuff. He kept the black and red suit. That's his like new suit now. I don't know if they're going to go back to the red and blue anytime soon, but hey, I mean, it's a good suit. Looks good. He takes MJ on a date where he shows her the web slinging, and he does the Mary Jane thing where he takes her up on her shoulder. He swings through the city, but she fucking hates it, and it's really cool to see how like it's not as romantic as the other movies made it out to be. It actually is quite terrifying, swinging by a rope throughout the city. So yeah, we find out that MJ actually hates it and she doesn't want to do it ever again, and that's pretty okay. And as he's about to leave, this is a mid-credit scene, by the way, and as Peter's about to leave, we see on the news, a breaking news thing came in. Apparently, one of Mysterio's men before he died took a hard drive of an edited footage clip of Peter getting back his glasses. He got his glasses back, and he told all the drones to stop their attack and basically went back into the satellite in space. And happily ever after, right? No. Actually, what really happened was that Mysterio edited this footage. While Spider-Man was going batshit crazy through all the drones and stuff, this is something we couldn't see. Mysterio basically looked at the camera and said, Spider-Man is trying to kill me. He actually was in charge of these drones, and the reason he's doing this is because he says he wants to be the greatest hero. He wants to be the next Iron Man. And his real name is Peter Parker. And then you see a footage clip of Peter going, yes, execute them all, which alluded back to when he said, Edith said, do you want to execute the plans to make the drones retreat? And he said, yes, execute them all. And it made it look like Peter was actually telling the drones to kill everybody. And then we actually get a clip of J. Jonah Jameson on a screen saying, yeah, Mysterio was the greatest hero on the planet, and Spider-Man is a menace, and he's actually played by the actor who played as him in Spider-Man, in the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, and it was awesome to hear his voice again, and I guess now they're going to keep him as J. Jonah Jameson, which I am really, really happy for. Yeah, we find out that now Spider-Man's going to become a menace. Everybody knows, or everybody thinks that he did something terrible, that he's actually the cause of all these drones killing all these people. And not only that, but they know his identity, which is going to be open season for all the villains that want to kill him, such as the Scorpion from Homecoming, who asked Vulture about his secret identity, and possibly maybe Green Goblin or Venom or anybody who exists in the Spider-Man timeline as of this point. And yeah, it's mind-boggling. Now Spider-Man's going to become a villain, and I guess that's going to lead into Secret Wars of him trying to clear his name. And of course, we get an after credit scene. We find out that Nick Fury and the agent that he was with through the whole time, they're actually the Skrulls from Captain Marvel. I am not shitting you. And the real Nick Fury is on a spaceship with all the rest of the Skrulls creating Sword. As you guys, if you guys don't already know, S.H.I.E.L.D. is the Earth-based operations that protect itself against Earth stuff, like, just standard supervillains and stuff like that. But S.H.I.E.L.D. is the actual organization that goes against, like, bigger cosmic threats, such as Galactus or some of the bigger threats of the universe. That's just a little backstory if you guys don't know what S.H.I.E.L.D. is, but yeah, or Sword and S.H.I.E.L.D. is. But yeah, Nick Fury is actually in space right now conducting a base for Sword, and it's going to be really cool. It's setting up basically another Avengers team, but the only problem is now that Spider-Man has to deal with this. And I've heard some rumors before that it would be really cool if Spider-Man had to go through a lawsuit to try to clear his name, and the lawyer representing him was Matt Murdock, Daredevil, considering that he is in this new universe with the Avengers, and Iron Fist is too, Jessica Jones is, Luke Cage is. But that's enough of the story, guys. I know I rambled on about that story for a little bit. I just want to tell you what I actually think about this movie. I thought the movie in the beginning was very slow. It was very rom-com heavy. It was not taking the loss of the Avengers that seriously. In the beginning, it actually showed like a little spoof of a in memoriam thing to Captain America, Black Widow, Iron Man. And I mean, I thought that was legit for a second. I was like, oh my God. Because it said in memoriam. I was like, oh, it might be, a little tribute to Stan Lee, considering he made Spider-Man. But no, it was a bullshit in memoriam. I guess it was supposed to be like for the school kids when it showed on the comm, or the little shitty broadcast of the kids telling the news. It showed up during that, and it kind of tied in through that way. But I thought they were being serious for a second. I was like, oh my God, that's so bad. It didn't really take the Avengers Endgame movie that seriously, but I did feel it when Peter was talking about Tony. He was like, I miss him, and I was like, oh man, that kind of hurts, because we all miss Iron Man, you know what I mean? Like, he was a great part of all of our childhoods, and sitting there and watching all of his movies, and sitting there and watching these characters come together very slowly but steadily, and they come together and they do their thing, and now it's over. But now it's a new opportunity for these new characters to come in and do their thing, and I'm really excited to see what Spider-Man is going to do for these new Avengers. As far as the Mysterio thing, when I wasn't surprised that Mysterio was going to be a bad guy at the end. I would have actually been more surprised if Mysterio actually wasn't bullshitting. He was a cosmic superhuman that came from a different alternate universe, and he came through a wormhole through the snap and is fighting these elementals. And he actually was a good guy, and he was going to become an Avenger. I would have been actually very surprised to see that. The action scenes were amazing as always. I did feel like they were a little much sometimes when Spider-Man was going through the drones, and it felt a little hectic at times, but that's exactly what it was. He's multitasking. He's doing all these different things at once. The hallucination scene, I've already said, was fucking phenomenal. It was straight from a comic book. It looked like if you freeze every little thing, it looks like it could be a comic book page of Spider-Man versus Mysterio. The new suit, as I said before, the two new suits, I mean, you saw them when I made my video on the Marvel Spider-Man showcasing those two suits. The upgraded suit and the stealth suit, I thought they were pretty cool. The stealth suit didn't really have anything to do with Spider-Man other than the fact that he just needed to stay hidden, which I guess, it had a purpose. It was a stealth suit, and it was to make sure that no one knew who Spider-Man was, but he's wall crawling and swinging webs, so kind of counterintuitive. But the upgraded suit, I thought... if you think about it, it is unnecessary. He's just changing the colors, and he's making a new suit. He had his old suit. Aunt May actually packed it for him, and there were no substantial upgrades. I thought maybe his chest or his spider emblem, because they zoned up on the spider emblem, would be like a unibeam or something. I don't know, something ridiculous, some crazy upgrade. But no, it's just a red and black suit. It looks cool. But it really had no purpose of being a functioning suit. He just made it himself using Stark Tech, and it was pretty cool. And I did feel like Tony Stark actually outshined Peter in a lot of this movie, because the whole movie is just him trying to take Tony Stark's legacy and make it his own, which it works, because Tony Stark was a father figure to Spider-Man in the first two movies, in Civil War and Homecoming, and of course Endgame as well, in Infinity War. He's always trying to follow Tony Stark's lead. And that does make sense, because Tony Stark and Iron Man have been a big part of Peter Parker's life. But anyway, as far as the movie went, I thought the pacing in the first act was a little slow. Then the second and third act kind of picked up, and it got really crazy. I thought the hallucination scene, fantastic. Acting was great as always. So yeah, I thought all the action scenes were pretty great. The hallucination scene, the standard fighting scenes with the drones and stuff, and even Mysterio. Mysterio was fucking awesome. His action scenes where he's flying around. Mysterio looked great. Spider-Man looked great. The CGI was phenomenal. The acting was very good. As I said before, only this first act kind of dragged on, because it didn't feel like a Spider-Man movie. It felt like a teenage rom-com. And the second and third act picked up, and the mid-credit scene was fucking insane, and the last credit scene was just a setup of what was going to happen and what Nick Fury was actually doing in outer space. But anyways, guys, I'm going to have to give this video maybe an 8, a mid 8, maybe like 8.5. The only reason why it doesn't get higher is because, as I said before, sometimes it does get slow, but when the action scenes happen, they happen real quick and they happen real intense. And some of the subplots and some of the plot holes that kind of existed, they kind of didn't make sense. And I feel like they could have done other things. And this is the first movie in like forever where Stan Lee didn't have a cameo. And it's Spider-Man, and it sucks that he's gone and he can't see what Spider-Man has become and how many people love this character. But, I mean, he saw a lot of that during his lifetime, and I have to give credit where credit is due to the guy. He made something truly special, and he made this universe so that we could take it and we can put it on our screens and make it lifelike and have all the CGI and action and all these actors that are willing to stay and participate. This is awesome, and this is why the Marvel Cinematic Universe trumps any other universe. But yeah, guys, that was my initial thoughts of this movie and my review. 8.5 out of 10. I mean, they did so many amazing things. As I said before, it's not perfect, but they did a really great job with this movie, and they set up a new universe. This is the end of the fourth MCU phase. This is the end of the Infinity Gauntlet phase, and the end of everything as we know it to be right now. I'm really hoping that they do continue to do more great things, and they assemble a new team of Avengers that are just as memorable as the ones that we have now. And that's it, guys. If you like this video, as always, give it a thumbs up. It always helps. And if you're new to the channel and you want to stay for some more content such as what you're seeing right now, be free to subscribe and hit the bell on the side so you never miss a single upload. Guys, thank you for watching again, and as always, I will see you on the next one.